Hello, everyone. I'm happy to see anyone at this hour on Sunday. We'll be talking about the salaries in Polish game dev, and we'll be talking about the results of community-driven survey of game dev salaries. We conducted the survey in May this year, and that was the second edition of the survey. And so I'll start with a quick introduction, and then we'll go just straight to the results. So basically we ask how much do you earn before taxes and social security. So we ask for the gross brutto amount, because as we know, some of us work on B2B, some of us work on contract of employment, so it's very hard to compare the net value. The survey, it was an online survey because we tried to reach everyone or as many people in the industry as possible. So it was basically published on Facebook, LinkedIn, and various game development forums that I had access to and my friends had access to. We managed to gather over 1,000 surveys, which is about 7% of the Polish game dev. Based on this year's GAC report, which says that there is about 15,000 of us in Poland. There are two issues, if we are nitpicking, that we know of. First, it was not a random sample, because it's virtually impossible to do a proper random sample, because we would have to first have, I don't know, emails of everyone in the industry and then randomly sample it. So we just reached over 1,000 people, and these are declared earnings. So we have no way of making sure that these are the actual earnings, but the results seem very okay. So today we'll briefly go over the results. I'll try to make it quick, so we have some time for questions. So first, I'll talk about who responded to the survey. The first question we asked was about seniority. So what is your position in the company? Junior, I don't know, mid or specialist, senior, principal, and so on. And as you can see, there are almost no juniors, 10% of juniors. This seems off. It seemed off last year when we had the same results, so we tried to approach it differently, and we asked, how long do you work in the industry? And there are over 20% people who work less than 2 years, which means that we either don't hire juniors at all, just hire straight to mid positions, or that we promote juniors very quickly, or both. When I spoke to some friends from some other countries, they say that in many countries it's okay to be junior for about 6 years, the first 6 years of work in the industry. We seem to have a different approach. I don't know what to think about it, just sharing with you. Then we ask about specialization, code, art, design. So as you see, code, art, design, producers, QA, these are the main specializations. There is one thing that we improved from the last year, because last year we forgot to ask about audio or DevOps. We mixed productions with the CEOs, so we separated that. But this year we made this mistake that we asked, like, there's an option to choose I'm doing everything. And it was meant to be an option for indie game developers, but surprisingly, big number of people from big companies chose that option, so it slightly influenced the results. And then we ask about contract type, and most of us work on B2B, then contract of employment, then contract of specific work, which is umowa o dzieło, and then umowa zlecenie, that is contract of mandate. And it is similar to last year, I think, more or less. So the situation is not changing. Most of us are independent companies. Home office or office. So half of us work only from home, 30% work only from office, and the rest 30% is some kind of a hybrid. I'm working from home, for example, and I like it. And gender. 77% males, 21% of women. It's better than last year. Last year we had about 14% of women in the answers. According to the GIC report, there is 24% of women working in the industry, so we are closer to representing the real breakdown, I think. Still, look at us, a male club. And where did the people sending the survey work? So first we ask what is the company doing, and most of the answers were we are working in a company developing PC and console games. It's 70% of the answers. Then, because last year we got this question whether Warsaw earns more money than, or what is the difference between Warsaw and the rest of the country. So we ask, where is the company located you are working for? In Warsaw, in Poland, outside of Warsaw, or outside Poland? We didn't ask for, let's say, Katowice, Kraków, Wrocław, mainly because it would allow us to pinpoint specific companies and maybe even specific people, and we don't want to have that knowledge. So, because this is an anonymous survey. And then we ask of the size of the company, 1 to 5 people. So I don't know how to interpret these results, because they probably do not mean that there is very little small companies and a lot of big companies. It just says that people from big companies, because there is a lot of them, send us more service. So, and we ask how many games have the company released. And the question was about the games that the company produced, not the games that were officially published by the company, because we sometimes work with a publisher. So most of service came from companies that released more than 3 or more games, and 11% from, let's say, startups or companies just starting their journey. Okay, so that's the introduction. And what have we learned about our salaries? Ta-da. First, I included the max salary just to, these are monthly figures. And we cut the smallest and the biggest salaries, but there was quite a lot of surveys saying that people are earning about, I don't know, 6 surveys saying that people are earning about 100,000 per month. But as you can see, these are just, the outliers, because the median value, just to clarify, if I earn a median salary, that means that half of the people in the industry earns less than me, and half of the people earn more than me. And 20th percentile means that 20% of the people earn less than me, and 80% earn more than me, and the 18th percentile means that 80% of people earn less than me, and just 20 people more than me. So as you can see, the median value is 11,000 gross, brutto. So you have to deduct taxes and all social contributions, depending, if you want to compare with your salary, depending on the type of your employment. So if I'm on B2B, I have to deduct ZUS and not VAT, but ZUS and the taxes. And if I'm on contract of employment, I have both gross and net values on my contract. So this is the gross value, and the average is 13,000, and this is almost twice the average salary in Poland. So we, as an industry, we earn quite a lot of money comparing to the rest of professions. Salaries in Warsaw are higher, 26% higher in the rest of the country, with median of 12,000. Outside of outside of Warsaw, the median is 9.5 thousand zloty. Of course, you pay more for living in Warsaw, but still, it's hard to me to say. I haven't found solid data showing how larger are the costs of life in Warsaw. Yeah. Then we asked about, we looked at how the salaries grow with experience, and for people working in the industry less than 2 years, the median was about 6,000 zloty, and for people working more than 11 years, the median was 17,000 zloty. So there is a room for growth, and it seems that the longer you work, well, the longer you survive in the industry, the more you earn, and and then we ask about seniority. So juniors earn about 5,000 zlotych median, specialists about 8,000 zlotych median, seniors 14, leads 14.5, principals, that means people who are more than seniors, but usually without their own teams, about 70,000 zlotys, and directors about 18,000 zlotys, and CEOs 13,000 zlotys. This surprised us, but then we realized that many people who are CEOs are just running their own indie companies, and they are earning, well, from their games. So maybe that should be somehow, differentiated in the coming survey. When we looked at the specialization, well, it pays to be a programmer. A median salary for the programmer is 13,000 zlotys, while the median salary for QA is 6.5. This QA, design, art, producers, and code. Okay. I think it's not really surprising. Or is it? Then we looked how it looks when we look at the specialization and the seniority without the specialization. So we can see there were instances where we didn't have enough points of data to calculate like the percentile. So then I'm only showing the median value, but take it with a grain of salt. That probably meant that we had like 4 or 6 surveys in this basket. So junior programmer earns by median 6,500 zlotys brutto, while lead and principal it's closer to 17,000-20,000, and directors tech deals earn quite a lot of money, 36,000 a month brutto, something like this. When it comes to producers, as you can see, there is not many junior producers or director producers, but they earn, well, I don't know. It seems that there is a lot of senior producers, probably in the big companies. Why lead producers earn less than senior producers? I have no fucking idea, to be honest. I suppose there is something going on with how the position is named in big companies and in smaller companies, because most of the service, of the producer service, came from very big companies, which on average pay better. So probably then when you're becoming elite or director, you, I don't know, you change your name to, I don't know, CEO or something. I don't know. When we look at artists, as you can see, I'm grouping it from the highest salaries, programmers, then producers, then artists. Now, here you start with about 5,000, and as a principal you earn about 90,000. And when it comes to designers, it's very similar. There are not many principal designers, so don't treat those 23,000 very seriously. More like look at the directors with 17,000, something like this. And QA. And to be honest, this is laughable. This is my opinion. That's an interpretation of the data, but this is a disaster, I think, because lead QAs and sometimes less than, for example, mid-level programmers. And now there will be a short rant. It's also my opinion, so if you disagree, it's very okay. But when I had the occasion to talk to some, people who are running their companies, and sometimes I heard, well, if you want to earn more money, just don't be QA, just like learn some skill and be a designer or a programmer. But this means, because many people see QA as the entry job and just, some kind of waiting room until you graduate and can be a designer, artist, or programmer. But that means that we have very small numbers of QA specialists. And this is totally different when compared to quality assurance in the Western companies. And I think the industry is suffering from that, because we really need very good QA specialists. And even in Poland, in the IT outside of game dev, QA specialists have space to grow and earn some money. So I'm not really, I don't really feel good with those data, because I think in the long run it is not good for the industry and for the quality of our games, but you can disagree. And now the gender gap. This is a tricky issue, and last year we got a lot of questions about it. So this year we dived really deeply into the data. So at first glance, women are earning 75% of what men's earn. But we had last year those questions. Yes, but probably more men are programmers and programmers pay better. Okay. Maybe more men are seniors and seniors get paid better. So maybe that's the reason. So we looked at the data, and first we looked at gender versus seniority. And at the moment there are more juniors and mid-level specialists among women and relatively less seniors and leads. And still, these are just numbers. It's hard for me to say if it's because the industry is just opening to women and they didn't have time to progress to directors or seniors, or whether there is some in the promotion mechanism. The data didn't say. We can interpret it both ways. Probably the situation is complicated as always, but so yeah, this can influence the gender gap, yeah? Then we looked at specialization, and relatively more men are programmers, and programmers pay better, and women are relatively better represented as artists and designers and producers. So yeah, probably better paying programmers influence the gender gap in a way. But then we found one group that was very representative for both genders. These were mid-level artists. We had very similar number of surveys for men and women from this group. But I will get to it later. When we looked at women senior versus men senior, women with versus men with, we can see that the gap is still there. It's maybe less visible, but it's still there. And then we looked at the group when we had the same, more or less the same number of surveys, and it seems that women are just paid less than men, apart from the other reasons that are influencing this gap. And I don't know what is your experience. Even anecdata, what I heard is from someone who's a boss of a company. I heard, well, I have a company to run, I'm not a charity, so if someone comes and asks for a raise, they might get it, but if they don't come and ask, they definitely won't get it, and maybe women just are afraid to ask. Just, as I said, just an anecdata, but the gap may be there. Okay. Then we looked at contract types, and B2B pays the best, and contract of mandate, czyli umowa zlecenia, pays the less. Employment pays second best, umowa o pracę. But does it really? Because I'm on B2B, for example, because I have like more cash to my disposal at the first glance, but I have to pay ZUS and taxes, and I'm closer to being, let's say, 70, and I'm not sure what the 70 years old me would think about me not being employed on contract of employment because retirement. So yeah, B2B pays the best, but it might not be the winning long-term strategy. As far as I know, no one in this industry in Poland has reached the retirement age yet, so that's a problem for future us. When I looked at contract type versus seniority, most of juniors are employed on employment or specific work, on mandate contract, very little on B2B, but the more experience you get, the more people switch to B2B. And I'm not sure if it's because I know that not every company you have the choice of working on B2B versus employment. In some companies you do. And I know some companies that suggest going to B2B when you advance in ranks because that's the way they can afford you, looking at the money on your disposal. So I think it's playing the system on both sides, both of my side and my employee side. I mean, not specifically me, but probably also. Yeah, but so yeah. As you can see, when you look at directors, leads, and CEOs, most of them are independent contractors, which sometimes create companies that employ no one. When we look at the area of operation, PC, mobile, porting, asset outsource, publishing, more or less pay the same. QA and localization pays definitely less, which loops us back to how little QA earn. So, like the data from when we look at them, at the data from a different perspective, it shows the same. The size of the company. The bigger the company, the better it pays. And it seems very, very straightforward. Companies employing more than 220 people pay by median 30,000 zlotys per month, while smaller companies, for smaller companies, it's closer to 8,000 zlotys. And it's probably because bigger companies need there is, more vertical structure, so you can advance in the structure. There is probably more responsibility or different kind of responsibility. Maybe there are some exotic specializations that are highly paid and have their place only in bigger companies and bigger productions. So if you want to earn more money, you should work for bigger companies, it seems. Then we looked at the number of released games, and the results are funny because companies that are established in the market and released 3 games or more pay in median about 11,000 zlotys, but companies with no released games yet pay about 12,000 zlotys, and the only interpretation that came to my mind is that some of the startups are trying to poach for specialists from the bigger companies, and they have to match the salaries to convince someone to come and work with us on a new, very risky project that may fail in a year or 2. So, but that's interesting. So that was the data. As I said, it was very quick overview. As for next steps, because this is a community-driven survey and community-driven improvement, so we were asked to look at overtime, because we didn't ask for it, at maternity, paternity leave, and to look at bonus and perks, monetary and not monetary ones. As I said, the report was made in May, and you can download it. There's much more data in the full report than in this. There's Polish and English version, so I'll just leave this slide here for a moment. And I hope you have some questions, because I was rushing through the presentation, because last year there was a lot of questions, so don't disappoint me, please.
Hi, I would like to ask if you think that it's a good idea to compare the gross salary on the employment contract with the invoice amount on the B2B. Why don't you compare the invoice amount on the B2B with this total cost for the employer on the employment contract?
Because most of the people, that is a good question, and we had a discussion about this last year and this year also, but most of the people filling out the survey have no idea what the total cost for the employer is, and it's not very easy to calculate.
But you might adjust it based on what they answer.
I'll try next year, but this year it was... I tried to do it, but I didn't find... it is not so easy, because it's there are different... there's a lot of influencing factors that I have to take into consideration, and I just decided not to do it this year. But Maybe I'll do it the next year because I know this could be maybe more.
I think this would be my more,
Yeah.
you could better compare the salaries this way.
Yes, you are right. You are right.
Thank you.
So,
Hi. Coming back to comparing women's and men's, this first plot was just done by summing all salaries and then.
well, the first look is that I looked at. I took all surveys sent by men, all surveys sent by women, and I just calculated median and.
I think there's possible to find measure which is independent on the internal structure. If you first calculate average salary in each group and then average these salaries, then I'm thinking, I'm not proving this because I just started to think about it.
You know, I think that, but I think the overarching view is important because it's simplified, but it shows many factors at once. Because the fact that women on average earn less is caused by they earning less, they working in less paying jobs, they're not advancing as quickly. I had only one survey from a female director and no surveys from female CEOs in over 1,000 of surveys. So I think this first slide just shows the outcome of all those factors at once. And so this is a very rough overview, but it tells you something about the market at all. If you like download the QR codes, I have one more QR code because there is Polish gamedev is unionizing right now, and if you want to learn more, you just can scan this code and learn more. And I hope you have more questions, please. Do have.
Okay, but finally, I still continue. Finally, you have shown the result from group which is similar, yeah?
Yeah.
And maybe it is possible to find a measure which will take all, taking internal structure. Okay, I'm not sure, I'm just...
No, but it's very hard to compare data, for example, for programmers when I have, I don't know, let's say a couple of hundreds surveys from male programmers and dozen or 2 dozen surveys from female programmers. With smaller numbers, with smaller number group, there's this chance. There's a bigger chance that you encounter extreme data points. So it's not a good practice when the difference is so.
Yeah, of course. I mean, to have good statistics is always good.
So sometimes having many controls, for example, in especially gender pay gap, is unuseful because there is a reason why there is less women in programming. There is a reason why there is less women with higher seniority. So it's very good to have this just lump data compared because it shows you the whole picture.
Yeah,
which can have many reasons, but it's the picture.
Yeah, that's why I started with it, but we had really a lot of questions last year, so I decided just to go with the reasoning, because I suspected that when we look at the data, they will show that there is a problem, like gender bias underneath of it all. So, and it seems there is.
Hi, I am curious, are there other surveys in the near countries like Czech Republic or Slovakia, etc., that we can compare that survey and check
Yeah.
how it looks like?
I haven't encountered them. I have encountered a very similar survey in the UK. So that's the data. And I encountered some survey made by some bigger organizations, and I'm not sure how the data was collected. But then, and it was like worldwide survey, but there Europe and Western Europe were, Eastern Europe were lumped together, and it was very hard to say which countries were in which group, and so I don't have such data.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Just the UK, which was also a community-driven survey. Oh. Maybe there are, but I haven't found them. So.
Okay. As far as I know, there's a survey on salary for Czech Republic made from the Czech gamedev association.
Okay.
So maybe that's something you want to look into.
Okay, dobra. Yeah, cool. I will look into it. That would be interesting. I know that there were some because I heard that this survey, well, it's just a declaration. Maybe people are trolling you and stuff like this. Maybe they are, but I think that because we all are the users of the survey, that the trolling is not really a thing. And I've heard about survey comparing salaries, maybe not even a survey, comparing salaries in big Polish companies, game dev companies, made by those companies, but the results are for CEOs only, so it's hard to get the real data. So those data are as real as it gets, as we have. So, okay. Nothing else. I can go through the presentation one more time, but slower. But if not, that's all for today.